So what if I told you that the financial advice you've probably heard your entire life, go to school, get a good job, save money, buy a house. What if that's the very thing that's designed to keep you financially stuck? I mean, in today's world, a steady job and a pension just aren't a sure thing anymore, right? It's a really powerful question. So let's dive into the big ideas from a book that totally flipped the script on how we talk about money, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Just think about it for a second. You work hard, right? You get that paycheck, you pay all your bills, and then what? At the end of the month, you're pretty much right back where you started, just waiting for the next paycheck to roll in. Sound familiar? That is what the book calls the rat race. And it asks this really pointed question. Could the advice we've all been following be the exact thing that keeps us on that hamster wheel? Okay, so the author, Robert Kiyosaki, sets this whole thing up by telling his story through the eyes of his two, dads. First, you've got his actual father, who he calls his poor dad. Now, this was a brilliant guy, super educated, had a PhD, worked his tail off his whole life, but was always struggling with money. And then, on the other hand, you had his best friend's dad, his rich dad. This guy didn't even finish 8th grade, but he ended up becoming one of the wealthiest men in Hawaii. Crazy, right? And the difference between them wasn't about education, it was all about mindset. Just look at this. Poor dad would say, "I can't afford it." And that's it, conversation over. It just shuts your brain down. But rich dad, he'd ask, "Okay, how can I afford it?" See the difference? One's a dead end, the other is a starting point. It forces your brain to get creative and find solutions. It's the difference between thinking like an employee and thinking like an owner. And honestly, that shift in perspective changes everything. And this leads to one of the biggest ideas in the whole book. For most people, income is a direct trade. You give your time, you get money. The problem is, you only have so much time, right? So your income has a built-in ceiling. But the wealthy, they're playing a totally different game. They don't work for money. They figure out how to make money work for them. They focus on building systems and buying things that make them money while they sleep. That's the goal. All right, now I want you to really lean in for this next part, because this idea is so simple, it's almost deceptive, but it's the one thing that, I kid you not, like 95% of people get completely wrong. It's the absolute cornerstone of this entire philosophy. So get ready, because this might just change the way you look at, everything you own. So it all starts with a super simple definition: an asset. According to Rich Dad, an asset is anything that puts money in your pocket. That's it. Full stop. If it's paying you, it's an asset. And you guessed it, a liability is the exact opposite. It's anything that takes money out of your pocket. Think of it as anything that costs you money to own, month after month. Simple, right? Asset puts money in, liability takes money out. Okay, so with those two very clear definitions in mind, let's talk about the big one, your home, the place you live. For generations, we've been told it's our biggest and best asset. But let's be honest with ourselves here. Using those simple definitions, does it put money in your pocket every month, or does it take money out? Yeah, according to Rich Dad's strict definition, your primary home is a liability. And look, I know that's a tough pill to swallow, but think about it. Every single month, you've got the mortgage, the property taxes, the insurance, the repairs. It's just constantly taking money out of your pocket. Now, you might be thinking, but it goes up in value. And yeah, it might, but that's not cash flow, that's speculation. On a month-to-month basis, it costs you. So let's make this super clear. On one side, you have true assets, things that are literally designed to generate income for you. We're talking rental properties, dividend-paying stocks, a business you own, things like that. Then on the other side, you have liabilities. And this is where a lot of stuff we think are assets end up, like your primary home, your car, that boat. The whole game, the secret, is that the wealthy focus all their energy and money on buying things from that first column. Okay, so now that we know the difference between an asset and a liability, how do we actually use that information to break that cycle we were talking about? How do you get off the hamster wheel? Let's dig into how you can escape the rat race. This right here, this is the loop that traps so many people. You go to work, you earn your money, and then whoosh, it immediately flies out the door to pay for all your liabilities. Your mortgage, your car payment, your student loans, your credit cards. You're basically working your butt off just for your money to pass right through your hands and into someone else's pocket. It's a really frustrating and seemingly endless cycle. And here's the key difference in what happens when more money comes in. For most people, when they get a raise, what's the first thing they do? they upgrade their lifestyle. A bigger house, a fancier car. It's called lifestyle inflation. Their expenses just expand to eat up the new income, and they stay exactly where they were. But the wealthy, they do the exact opposite. They take that extra income and use it to buy more assets, more things that will generate even more income. It creates this amazing upward spiral of wealth. This brings us to another huge quote from the book, Mind Your Own Business. And he doesn't mean don't be nosy. He means your business is your asset column. See, your job, that's your profession. That's how you pay the bills. But your business is the collection of assets you own that make money for you. The big takeaway here is, yeah, keep your day job, but start minding your own business on the side by focusing on building up that asset column.
Okay, so at this point, the path seems pretty clear, right? Just buy assets. But if it were really that simple, wouldn't everybody be rich? Well, the book argues that the biggest things holding us back aren't a lack of money. They're psychological. They're the obstacles inside our own heads that keep us from ever getting started.
And he breaks them down into these 5 major roadblocks. You've got fear, that paralyzing fear of losing money that keeps you on the sidelines. Then there's cynicism, that little voice that says, oh, that'll never work for me. There's just plain old laziness, putting off the important financial stuff because it feels like work. Then you have bad habits, like always paying everyone else before you pay yourself by investing. And finally, arrogance, thinking you already know everything and refusing to learn. So what's the solution? What's the antidote to all of this? It's simple. Financial education. It's the one thing that can combat all those obstacles. I mean, they don't teach this stuff in school, so it's really on us to go out and learn it. The more you learn about money, the less you fear it. You start to see opportunities instead of dead ends. It gives you the confidence to build better habits. It all starts with that one decision to just start learning. So after all this, the big takeaway isn't just some abstract idea. It's a call to action. It's about shifting you from just listening to this to actually doing something about your own financial future. They say a journey of 1,000 miles starts with a single step. Well, your journey to financial freedom, it starts with buying your very first asset. So the only question left for you is, what's it going to be?